Hey, I'm Sarah, and this is the Goddess in Training podcast. This isn't about being perfect or polished or having it all figured out. This is about what happens when you actually start listening to your body, your intuition, your patterns, your truth. I'm asking big questions and having real conversations, sometimes messy and sometimes magical, with people who've lived through it, grown through it, and still don't have all the answers. If you've ever doubted yourself, betrayed your gut, or wondered if you're the only one, you're not. Let's talk about it. Hi, welcome back to Goddess in Training. I'm Sarah. Today I'm joined by my beautiful new friend Robyn Nicole, certified breathwork facilitator, doula, and prenatal yoga instructor based in Lynchburg, Virginia, and the heart behind the beauty of breath. We met recently, and after about 5 minutes of chatting, we decided we were basically getting married. So yes, the vibes are that good. Robyn's story is a homecoming. In 2020, on a 200-acre farm with a river out back, daily walks and simple yoga cracked open a deeper awakening. A 30-day breathwork challenge became 90 days, which became a way of life, and eventually a leap to Guatemala to train as a breathwork facilitator. Since then, she's been weaving breath into the most sacred thresholds, supporting mothers as a birth doula, and guiding all of us back to our own inner steadiness. In our conversation, Robyn shares how breath can gently shift us from fight or flight into rest and repair, why belly breathing is our birthright, and how a single mantra, "My breath is my anchor," can become a lifeline. She tells a powerful story from the OR supporting a twin birth, and we explore the softer medicine of regulation, how one regulated nervous system can calm a whole room. We also talk about building community in Lynchburg across different beliefs. What might happen if we don't debate first, we breathe first? If you've been craving peace, clarity, or simply a way to feel at home in yourself again, this one's for you. Take a slow inhale with us, a long exhale, and settle into your own rhythm as we remember what's always been here. Breath as a bridge, body, mind, and spirit. Let's begin. Hi, welcome back to Goddess in Training. I'm Sarah, and today I am here with my beautiful friend Robyn, who we met recently, but just in chatting before setting this up to record, we decided that we're going to get married. So we are now officially lifelong friends. I am so excited to learn more about Robyn's journey, and we originally started talking about breath work, and I thought that we would go into a lot about your being a birth doula. That's something that I'm really interested in. But I learned right before this that there's so much more that I think that we'll get into today. So, Robyn, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so happy to be here, Sarah. Thank you for having me on this platform to be able to share what I am most passionate about, and that is my breath.
And breath is the core of it all, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you get started with breath work?
So honestly, my journey began in 2020. I was a paraprofessional at an elementary school, and like many others, one day I got sent home. I found myself with a lot of time and also a lot of questions and concerns. It was such a time of uncertainty that I really felt a pull to try to find what was certain in the world. And that is what some people would call, is what my spiritual awakening began. I now know that the spiritual awakening really doesn't stop once it
No.
begins. Yeah, it's not just one incident. It can happen many, many times. And really, I try to come to life every day and try to have an awakening every day. But it started with walking first. I lived on a 200-acre farm at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. So nature, getting into nature, and that started really clearing some of the thoughts in my mind. Walking about 5 miles a day on the farm and just being, it was actually in my backyard was a river. Yeah. So a lot of healing started then. Then early in my life, when I was in Colorado, I graduated from Colorado State. That is when I would say I also had somewhat of an awakening. And I knew that during that time in Colorado, I had started yoga, and yoga was really something that helped me to start grounding.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so with the walking, shortly after that, I started to incorporate yoga into my practice. Now, just for the listeners, I want to give just a little bit of my background so they can kind of know where I was at that point in my life. Sarah, from as early as I can remember, I lived with anxiety. At this point in my life, I'm almost certain that I even was born with it. And what I mean by that is, with the research that I've done, when you are in the womb of your mother as a female, some studies say 5 months. There's a couple of studies that say 6 months, but within 5 or 6 months is when you're making the eggs of your children.
Exactly.
Yeah, in the
Right.
womb of your child, in the womb of your mother. So that is how I've done some ancestral studies on how the pain gets brought down from family to family, generation after generation. And my mom's mother died of cancer when she was pregnant with me. And so there was a lot of anxiety within her at that time when I was in her stomach. So I really do feel like I brought the anxiety with me into this, life. And so I have lived with that my entire life. I am 50 years old. So that was in the 70s when I was born. And there really wasn't, you know, education for parents, that I was just a child that was called difficult, but it was really because I was crawling in my skin, in my own skin from the inside out every day of my life, Sarah.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, as the story goes, and a lot of the listeners will be able to identify with this, turns into high school. You start self-medicating with alcohol. I was using cannabis in the wrong way. I was abusing it, not using it as a medicine. I believe in plant medicine, but at that time I was not using it as plant medicine. And that was creating more anxiety. And then also, because we live in a society that really we are not taught to feel, we're told that we shouldn't feel, the old stories, they get stored in our cells, in our muscle tissue, in the water that's within us.
Yeah.
And we bury them. And the anxiety and the depression and everything lays over top of them. And so it's hidden. You don't even know that they're there. So all of that has been going on for years and years. And yeah, I had times of breakthroughs with pharmaceutical drugs and medicine that really did help me and to get me out of states of severe anxiety or severe depression, but it was just a Band-Aid. So that leads me all the way back up to the story of that's the life I've been living, just kind of the ups and downs, And in 2020, when all of the COVID hit and the uncertainties hit, and I felt like that we weren't being told the truth, it was really a doorway to the awakening and my spiritual journey. Yeah.
I think that moment in time, it was a collective traumatic experience. And so many of us, I think, experience similar things where we start questioning everything. And when you lose that certainty of your day-to-day life, it was really ripped away from us, all of those things that we thought we could rely on, being able to go to work, being able to go to school, just all dissolved. And unfortunately, I don't think it was enough of a collective awakening for all of us, because now we're going
Yes, I
through a
agree.
similar period of time where things are being ripped away from us little by little, or very quickly, actually, in some instances. So at that point, so you were doing the yoga and the walking. How did breath work then come into your life?
That's beautiful. So, yes, agree with everything that you're saying. It wasn't enough awakening for some people, but for me, it was that time. It was divine timing. With that being said, that it wasn't enough awakening for a lot of people, I want to touch on this really quick. That is not necessarily a negative thing to me.
Right.
I still truly believe in the core of me that we are all perfectly placed where we should be And for some people, it's just not the right time yet.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
just not ready
Yeah.
yet. But and if you find yourself listening to this podcast, this could be an invitation that
Mhm.
maybe things are opening up for you. But yes, back to the breath work. So with the walking and the yoga, I started creating space within myself. And I could start feeling that. I could start feeling me start to breathe again. I didn't have to worry about social anxiety because I wasn't going anywhere. I was at home on the farm. And so that was taken out, which I think was a huge part for me because the social anxiety is what got me locked into the loop every day. I would go back into the world, I like to call it the matrix, but I would go back into the workforce, the matrix, the everyday life that we have to deal with. And that would get me back into the anxiety. So then at nighttime, I would come back, have to wind down. Well, this was a time where I was at home, my safe space, and I was able to start getting the mind to calm a little bit. So with the walking and the yoga, breath found me.
Mm.
It found me. I was just doing yoga from YouTube videos every morning, and I came across a breathwork challenge. It was a 30-day breathwork challenge. So I was like, this sounds interesting. I'm going to do it. So, and one thing that I have on my side is and it's the Capricorn in me. I like things to be 100%.
Uh-huh.
Why are we going to do it if we're not going to do it 100%?
Uh-huh.
So when I am going to take on a challenge, that meant a lot to me.
Mhm.
So I started doing the breathwork challenge. And at the end of the 30 days, I noticed that I was controlling my own anxiety.
Wow.
Now, that's a big statement. And I want to clarify that because I don't want to mislead anyone. It was very, very subtle. It was a subtle, subtle change.
Mm.
But was able with the walking and the yoga that my mind was clear enough that I could listen to that change and I could feel it just ever so slightly. So then I decided that I would do the 30-day challenge 2 more times.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So the 30-day challenge for me ended up being 90 days. And my world opened up.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. From that point on, breath work became a daily practice in my life. And we'll get more into that, I'm sure,
Mhm.
as the podcast goes on. But that led me to Guatemala. So I went all the way to Guatemala and met 14 strangers, and we went into the forest of Guatemala, and we became breathwork facilitators. And then that was for 14 days, and I came back home and started integrating that into my daily life and trying to build my business, which is the beauty of breath. From there, it was probably about a year to a year and a half later that it became quite evident in my journey that I was to start holding space for others. And that's where doula and the prenatal yoga came in. It was a very natural transition to bring those into my practice with me, and that I wanted to hold space for mothers, bringing life into this world.
When I was pregnant with my children and going through that transition from not motherhood to motherhood, I had a feeling at one point. I was like, I think I would like to be
Mm.
a birth doula. And then your children grow, and it just never really stuck with me. But I love those moments of transition. And so now with the coaching I do, it's really, I call myself a transition doula, just sitting with people and holding space going for people
I
going through
love
any kind of transition. But birth and death. It's just such an honor to be with people and be witness to what they go through in those periods of
Mhm.
time. Talk a little bit more about your experiences with being a birth doula.
Yes, I'd love to. And first, I'd like to state that I'm still early in
Yeah.
my journey with the birth doula. I've only had one client. I've been with other doulas and experienced it and had children. I don't have one child of my own, and family members, but I'm still early in that journey. So we can
Yeah.
learn together in that. But my first client, she had twins. So not only did I have one birth, I had two, and it was amazing. And she was an amazing first client, which I truly believe was woven by the divine spirit of God to give me, for our paths to cross. So my very first client, we are a lot alike. First of all, our belief systems, but in the journey as a doula, it's very important that I don't bring my belief systems in. It's all about the mother and their partner. It just so happened in this situation that we are very much alike. And that really opened the door for me to bring more of my authentic self and really what I believe that breath does for us. And that is a bridge between body, mind, and spirit. So what I mean by that is we started from the very beginning with her in journaling, mantras, and a breathwork practice. So a breathwork practice for a mother-to-be, a pregnant lady, is quite different than it would be, yes, for
Yeah.
people that are not. And there's many different modalities in breath, and different pathways that you can take with breath. With the mother and child, we do not want any heavy breathing. I do a breathwork practice that takes you into a different state of consciousness, which is conscious connected breathing. None of that is done with a pregnant mother. This is, when I talk about breathwork in a mother-to-be, it is deep, connected breathing within you. So breathing that we really all should be doing on a daily basis. And what we did do when we were a child, when we first entered this world, but with our lifestyles and busier, we are now breathing from our chest and not our belly. So the very first thing that we did, we started with just 10 minutes a day, incorporating belly breathing, where she could start connecting with the embryos and start grounding herself. What I found is very important, what I feel is very important, and what I found is very important through working with her is that when we take time in the beginning to build the foundation, and that's why I like to start with mantras. I would give her mantras every week, such as the breath is my anchor is my breath is my anchor. Putting that on your phone, I believe in having mantras, all around your house, positive, things that you can say to yourself. We really needed, what I really like to do is to give the invitation for the person to really go within so they can start listening to themselves. And we can do that through mantras and positive thinking. And then from there, we started with 10 minutes of breath work. In the morning, you could do 5 minutes. I'm talking about 10 minutes a day. In the morning, you could do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. It's that simple. That's what I started with. And over like a week's time of doing that, you will start to feel you anchoring inside of you. So she was dedicated mother, such an amazing first client to have, so dedicated. She did her practices and her prenatal practices. And I'll tell you more about that every morning and every night. This really built an amazing foundation for when we were ready to go into the birth at the hospital. So we just started with deep belly breathing. And what we wanted was to create a breathing pattern to where she could invite the twins to start breathing in the same rhythm as she was breathing in. And we really did that because all through her pregnancy, they were amazing. This was a young mother who was not at times well supported by family members or a partner, but she maintained a calmness within her body that there were no major problems during her entire pregnancy. Being a pregnancy with twins, we also knew that there was a huge chance that she would not be able to carry them full term. She was very little, like I said, young mother. So her doctors were telling her she was also at high risk because of different health problems, but that she was probably not going to carry full term. She carried it was 1 week from being full term.
Oh my God, that is remarkable.
It was remarkable. And
Yeah.
I truly believe that it was all of the hard work that she did and the breath. So we went into the hospital the week before. She had it was going to be a scheduled birthing. We were going to do it natural in the hospital, but it was going to be scheduled. We ended up going in a week earlier, and we had to go into a C-section. Yes, they were premature, but at 4 pounds, one was at 4 pounds and one was going to hopefully be at 5 pounds. And of course, that's just an estimation. You don't know how much they are in her belly, but it was just a guess. So the best case scenario for us is that she could have them natural and that they would not go to NICU. That was what the best case scenario was. So we scheduled going into the hospital that morning, went in, and after speaking with the doctor and the heart rate, she made the decision that she was going to go in for the C-section and not go for the natural birth. So then that became the plan of the birth. And then the next best case scenario would be that they didn't go to NICU. So we wanted to keep her as calm through the process, because I don't know how many people have been into an OR, but in a C-section, the OR is very small and there are a lot of people in there, especially with twins. There is already a NICU team ready to go if the twins need it. So it is very cramped. There is bright lights and there is a lot of high stress situation.
Yeah.
So very, very thankful and just heartfelt that Lynchburg Baptist lets the doula go in with the mother.
That's amazing.
Because not all hospitals do that. So I was able to go in with her into the OR. And as soon as we went in, we started with our breathing. And both babies were born and neither one had to go to the NICU.
Wow.
So it's an amazing, amazing experience.
Wow. I've never really thought about all of the effects of breath work, and just how you mentioned the connection not only to her body, but to the babies that she was carrying. When I was going through the birthing process, I was very attached to having a natural birth. And I know that if I had not achieved that, I would have felt negative energy in some way, because I was so incredibly attached. And gratefully, I was able to have a birth center birth and then a home birth with my daughter. If I had had somebody like you walking me through the process and being connected to the breath, it would have changed everything, because I was very alone and very young. I've always thought about a birth doula holding your hand to try to get to that natural birth, to that specific outcome. But this story just proves the value in having you there, even when the plan needs to change. I certainly believe that those babies, their outcome was directly affected by you being there, by being that calm presence. I just recently had surgery, and it is stressful. It is so incredibly stressful. And when you have that emotional stress, it doesn't help the whole body process that you're going through.
That's
But if you
right.
can stay calm, I think it has huge, huge positive effects.
Absolutely. And I definitely saw that. So it was very important to her to have natural birth as well. I think as mothers, just in our mind, we create stories.
We do.
And not just as mothers, but we're just talking about the birthing process right now. So we created these stories that'll be the perfect birthing story for us. And we all know that we really have no control over it, you know? Nor should we ever,
No.
but just
We
like
try.
we
We
try.
try.
Yeah. Yeah. We have no control over this. So as much as we can use the breath as a tool to go within and to allow the body to go into that rest and relax state, which is your parasympathetic nervous system, and I know we'll get more into that, then that allows the body to do what it needs to do to get through the experience rather than resisting. The birthing process, a lot of it is surrendering.
That's what I was going to say.
And letting the body do what it needs to do. Now, it may raise the question where you're in a C-section. What does the body need to do? The body still needs to do a lot. We needed to keep her blood pressure down. If your blood pressure is going up, you're going to be bleeding more. You're going to have a more loss of blood. You know, there's already going to be less oxygen. That's why they put the oxygen mask on you, because when you open us up, you know, the oxygen's coming out. So we wanted to create a situation, and we did that also with music. So with music, with her breath, with mantras, we created a container that would keep the body in the parasympathetic nervous system in the rest and the relaxation state, to where the doctor could just do what she needed to do and the babies could stay in a calm state when they were being pulled out. And it really was interesting to experience the two twins, the two different births. Each twin, baby A and baby B, had a different experience being pulled out and opened up into this world. So baby A, the entire pregnancy was very, very comfortable, very nicely snugged right down, even at the last bit of the pregnancy, was ready to come through the canal, was eating perfectly, had weight perfectly, everything perfect. Baby B, and why we needed to go into the C-section, is because she only had one placenta, and baby B was losing nutrition.
Okay.
Yes, and was not getting as much room as baby A. Well, when the babies were born, the interesting thing is that the reverse happened. When baby A come out, baby A was so comfortable inside her mother. When baby A come out, she did not like it at all, and she went into shock and actually stopped breathing.
Oh my gosh.
So I tell that story because that tells a lot about breath and what is taking place inside of us and the connection that we have. Yes, baby A was comfortable because she was snug in her mom and she was getting a lot of the nutrition and all of that, but she was breathing from within and felt that connection to source the whole time. When baby B came out, baby B, her oxygen and stuff was being cut off inside the mother. And when she came out, she was so glad to get a breath of air from the outside that she was absolutely happy, like did one little cry and then was smiling and everything. Now, before I go any further, they spent time, put baby A on mama's chest, and everything was fine with baby A. Neither baby went to the big NICU. But I think this is a beautiful, beautiful analogy of the duality that we live in this world, and that what we experience on a day-to-day basis. There is the reality of being here, and we breathe on the outside, but there's also, we all know there's something more. There's something more that we're connected with. And that happens on the inside. And that's what breath can take you to.
That's so beautiful. To me, too, it also speaks to the necessity of discomfort in our lives, and that we think of discomfort as a negative thing, but thinking about baby B, she actually going from an uncomfortable to a more comfortable space had a more positive experience, right? I've been trying to manifest ease in my life, and after going through my own surgery and being very uncomfortable for a period of time, I'm like, I just want to be comfortable. And why can't we just be comfortable all the time? But we can't, actually. We have to have discomfort.
Yes, we do. And what I am really embracing and integrating into my life now with breath is that breath is the tool that helps me to navigate through the discomfort rather than burying the discomfort, rather than trying to go around it. I use the breath to go through the discomfort because I truly believe it's there to teach me. Yeah.
So, what's an example in your own life of how you've used breath to get through an uncomfortable period of time?
Wow, that's an amazing
There are probably so
question.
many.
There are so many. What's coming to mind right now for me to speak on is early on in my journey going to Guatemala. I was still experiencing anxiety on a day-to-day basis at this point. Was it much better? Yes. With breath work, it was much better. And we can get into the daily practices and the more mechanics of it, in a little bit.
But I can imagine too, it was exacerbated by going to a foreign country. You
Right.
purposely put yourself in a very uncomfortable position where
Exactly.
you don't know the language, you don't know the food or where you were going, and you were by yourself too, right? So somebody with
Exactly.
anxiety, you were like, all right, I'm doing this.
Yes.
Jumping
So
headfirst.
to put that in perspective, I had so much anxiety at times in my life, I would not even call in a pizza
Mm,
because even speaking on the phone to them would cause so much anxiety.
wow. And so your anxiety had to have been much, much better to be able to even step off the
And
plane,
contemplate
off of
doing
the
that.
plane. Right, right.
Yes, by
Even think about
myself.
it. Yeah.
So, yes, so I knew gearing up for this trip, at this point, I had done the breath work for the 90-day challenge, but I no means was experienced with it. I just knew that what I had fallen onto, what had found me was working, and this was something bigger than me.
Mm.
So I was just using it on a daily basis to try to be able to get on that plane. Because once I got on the plane and I got over there,
Yeah.
I was there. So I was just using the breath to be able to make it to get on that plane. And it got me there. It got me there. And that is with deep belly breathing and then also doing heavy breathing practices probably at least 4 times a week. And what that was really bringing oxygen into your body is what really starts to change the nervous system. And so by doing that, the thoughts in my mind started to calm down and even go away.
Wow.
I was also doing practices as like walking on the farm to the river, which was very hilly. I would walk and look straight ahead and not look down. I would fall sometimes, but I would breathe, just keep walking, and I would breathe and I would start building trust with the divine spirit that I was divinely protected. And so with breath work and these practices, it led me to Guatemala. And when I got over there, being with most of the people were from Germany,
Mm.
actually. There was only 3 of us from the States. And so not even being able to speak their language, most of them could speak English, but there was a lot of anxiety. And then we were doing breath work every single night, which was releasing a lot of trauma. And there's different traumas going on because there's 14 of us. So every day the breath work was building each of us in more of a way. It was giving us like, when I say building, what do I mean by that? I mean, it was building a foundation within us that was building confidence and we were feeling empowered.
Wow.
Yeah. And I left that journey just transformed and remembering who I am and the divine being that I am. And when that happens, it's not even that you wake up one day and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not anxious. It's that you wake up one day and you walk through life being authentic and natural. It just feels natural. It's not a big awakening. It's not something that is like, oh, I don't feel this. It's so subtle and calm. It's just so natural,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like breath is. Yeah,
Mm. That's beautiful.
yeah.
What keeps popping to mind for me is I had an experience where I was helping facilitate a plant medicine journey with a friend using psilocybin. And
Mhm.
he was not allowing himself to surrender to the plant medicine and was
Yes.
using his breath to prohibit the surrender. So he just kept saying to me, Sarah, 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 like, I have to breathe. I can't breathe. I have to breathe. I have to breathe. And I was like, no, no, your body will breathe for you. But he was using the breath and focusing on the breath in the opposite way,
Yes.
that to keep himself in this world rather than surrender. And so, like anything, there's a duality
I
there
love that.
too, that you can use your breath to stay here because he was breathing very heavily. Like, well, I have to think about breathing or it's not going to happen. It will happen. And that journey, he never ended up surrendering.
I
Yeah.
love that and that you brought that up because I think for the listeners, this is an important part because we live in duality. It's
Yeah.
both sides. And this, what you just said and experienced with your friend, there may be people listening that has also experienced that. So how I would respond to that is, as a breath facilitator, I hold that sacred. And I know how important it is that every day I keep up my daily practices of going within and staying grounded because it is very important of the container that I am providing for the person that is coming in to do breath work with
Um,
me. So if
mhm.
someone is feeling that they are being called to breath work or into a plant ceremony situation, which I recently just came from in Peru, and we used breath for the onset of when the medicine started to hit.
Mm.
So I think it is very important to research who is around you, what is the container you're going to be in, because you were the lifeline for your friend when that was happening.
Mm.
You were the one that was the lifeline telling him that your body will do it for you.
Mm.
So if there's ever a situation where you have someone that is facilitating breath and they are wanting you to do it the way that they want it done, I would say run. I would say
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
It is your breath, your space, your body. It's nothing that needs to be rushed or pushed. It is something that should feel very natural. And for some people, breathing fast does feel natural. So if we're going into a conscious, connected breathwork session and they right then are breathing fast, I usually just let them do it and they will sort it out on themselves. They don't need me in their ear saying, we need to slow it down. We need to do this. Or either I will start breathing myself and normally it will synchronize
Yeah.
their breath. They will start just not even by them trying, just in the room. And that's what I mean by container. It's the room that we're
Yes.
in,
Mhm.
wherever we're at.
Mhm.
It's, it's not the room that's sacred. We are sacred. And so we want to bring that to wherever we're at.
Mhm.
So at times, if somebody is nervous and I can feel that energy in the room, I will start breathing and then they will synchronize their breath with me
Yeah.
just naturally. So that's what I would say. I love that you brought that up. And anyone that is new to breath work, it is all about what you're feeling.
Mhm.
Trust your intuition.
Yeah.
You know, start a relationship and know who your breath facilitator is. Yes, it's okay to say, we are not in alignment. Not everyone that I work with is going to be in alignment with me and my beliefs. And I need to make sure that I'm not taking anything personal and that is okay. Maybe they're just going to work with someone else better, you
And
know?
it's okay to not be ready for that
It's okay to
release.
not be
Yeah.
ready.
He clearly wasn't ready, and I wasn't going to force anything.
Mm.
So my job was just to be there and to reassure
Yeah,
as he was going through that process. Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah. Because everything will happen exactly when it's supposed to. I am a firm believer in that.
Me as well. Me as well. And I hope that the listeners can feel that in us. And the breath will take you exactly where you need to go.
I've had a similar experience with me breathing and it regulating somebody else when practicing Reiki. If I
Mm,
feel energy shifting in somebody, I don't need to tell that person to take a deep breath. I just take a deep breath and then they naturally take a deep breath at the same time to then release the energy.
So
Um,
beautiful.
and breath is something that I mean, it's with us in every single moment of our lives from birth to death, but we don't think about it at all. Yeah. Yeah. Talk a little bit about the pure focus. Not necessarily how you're breathing or changing your breathing, but just the thought put into it, how that can be revolutionary for somebody.
Oh, wow. This is a question that I am very grateful for, and I'm so glad that it came up because I do have a vision of the new world, and this is the direction that I feel that I would like to see start vamping up
Uh-huh.
and becoming where we are thinking more about the breath and how we're breathing. I think that we have forgot how sacred breath is. Like Sarah said, it's the first thing we do when we enter this world and the last thing we do when we leave. Just think about that. That is sacred.
It is.
It is the breath never forsakes you and never leaves you. You can forget about it all day long. Go and our heart beats over 60,000 times a day.
Wow.
60,000 times a day. And we never think about it.
Unless something goes
Never,
wrong.
unless something goes wrong.
Right.
It never leaves us. It's always there, faithful. So if we can start consciously breathing, it's going to change the world. I believe this. I hold this vision in my heart and I live it. It has changed me.
Mm.
So with conscious breathing, I believe and have found that that is what we've been going through with the health problems. We are living in a state of being in our sympathetic nervous system, which is fright and flight. A constant state of stress. That tells our body that we are in danger and we are breathing from our chest and not our belly. Buddha was not fat. It was his Buddha belly breath.
Mm.
He was breathing. We should be breathing from our belly. We were designed as hunters and gatherers. We were designed to breathe from our belly, staying in the sympathetic nervous system. And then when we trigger the sympathetic nervous system,
Mm.
and it gives us that burst of adrenaline
Right.
to do whatever we need to do,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is freeze, fight, or flight.
Mm-hmm.
That is the way our body is designed. But because of the hundreds of years and, the way we've been westernized and everything has sped up
Yeah.
faster, 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 we have changed our breathing pattern and forgotten that our natural breathing state. And really, you can watch, if you take a mother that, nobody's life is perfect, but if you take a mother that has gone through a very natural, beautiful birth, pregnancy, and all the support she needed, everything the baby needed, you can watch that baby breathe, and the baby is breathing from the belly.
Wow.
We lose that the older we get, the faster things get, and we start breathing from the chest. And when you're breathing from the chest and your body is in a constant state of feeling it is in danger, that is when disease, anxiety, depression, all of those things take form. And we see the problems that we see now. And then that is where we need to go get help, surgeries, medication, things like that. I have experienced being my own doctor and healing my own body from this lifestyle that I've been living now for almost 6 years.
That's
So
amazing.
I have experienced it, and I am a firm believer that we can get back to that. And so let's consciously think about breathing. Let's start thinking about breathing. And I started with 10 minutes a day, and you can too.
Wow. I feel like there's an aspect of gratitude too, that since we don't think about the breath and we don't appreciate, it gives us everything, right? And if we just had a little bit of focus and a little bit of gratitude, it's almost like it is our source, and it is life, and it is love, it is everything. And a little bit of just attention to that, I think, would make a huge change in the world.
Love bringing the gratitude part in with that because consciously thinking about your breath and your breathing pattern and then putting gratitude with it.
Mm.
That is the formula for going back home. And home is within you. And when you bring those two together and you start to feel that feeling that you can only feel when you're home. And everybody has had that feeling before, at least once in their life. Even a father that just held his child for the first time, whether you in a church had that feeling. Everybody has had that feeling sometime in their life of home. Bringing those two together, you will start to have that feeling within, and then you can grow on that.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful transition, and I am here to, help in any way that I can to share, you know, that healing power. And then one other thing I wanted to say with that that's coming up for me is that when you just start that conscious breathing, that gratitude, maybe start a 10-minute breathing pattern, which my social media will be listed on the podcast underneath, and everything will be listed to follow me. I put breathing techniques on there where you do not even have to see me. You can start in your own home. The 10 minutes a day, you can start in your own home, in your own privacy. If you're nervous and not ready, don't think you're ready to go see a breath facilitator. But when we start those things, the work on the inside is natural. It just does it for you. You start to eat better. You start to treat the people around you better. You start to have more clarity of mind. You go to the doctor and they tell you your blood pressure's down. Your diabetic numbers are better. I have a client, one of my breathwork clients, who her diabetic numbers are better. Her blood pressure numbers are better. She's a cancer survivor now.
Wow.
And I truly believe it wasn't me. She chose this.
Yeah.
She has done this by going on this journey. So all of those things start to fall in place. And that's what it means to come back home.
Yeah. I'm sinking into that feeling of home. It got me teared up a little bit thinking about that feeling, because we don't return to that.
We don't. And I truly believe that that can be a state of being. And that is where, when I talked earlier of where I'm at with my breathwork practice, I'm at a state of integrating breath into my state of being every single day that I'm in a place that I can call home. And what that means to me is that I don't react, I respond. I'm living every day from heart centered. Please do not quote me on this, but I believe it was Dr. Robert Grant that said, when you can think with your heart and you can love with your mind, wisdom flows like a river. And with my breath, I have been able to do that. I think with my heart, and that's what it means to respond to me. So it doesn't mean that I go out every day and people around me don't trigger me every now and then. I mean, I still get triggered, but because my breath, I breathe from my belly. I just do that in my everyday life now. It's not something I have to consciously think about anymore. But this is almost 6 years in the journey. But I don't consciously think about it anymore. It's just a way of living for me. So when that happens and it's something that I don't like or whatever, I know I go straight to my heart center. I think about it with my heart. And then from my mind, I can see them as they're the same person as me, or the situation that I'm in, can love it and feel it from my mind, because it's all the same. We're all the same. We're all divine children of God is what I believe. And then when that happens, when those two things happen from my heart and my mind, the wisdom and how I should react just comes right out.
I feel like too, when I'm around somebody who's really regulated, I feel more regulated.
Mhm.
And I feel like the more of us that lean into this way of being, it's not just for ourselves. It definitely spreads even amongst people that you're a stranger in a store. If you have that calm breath and that calm
Mhm.
just way of being about you. It calms people around you. Have you had experiences where you've kind of intentionally gone into your meditative breathwork space and seen the change in somebody else, even if it's somebody that you weren't specifically working with? Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I use that, I will say, on a weekly basis.
Little magic.
Yes. And it's a place that I also hold very sacred. I do not say that lightly. I do not go in thinking that I'm going to control a situation. But if I am in a situation that even is high stress and has nothing to do with me,
Yeah.
I have had an experience, more than one, many experiences where I will just remove myself. And what that means is I just back out of the energy field. I go to a distance of 6 to 10 feet out of the energy field. I breathe. On the inhale, I bring it all the way up to my crown chakra and I say, I am. And on the exhale, I let that I am fall all the way down into the earth. And I do that just in silence within me. And I will watch the argument. Maybe I'm in a store where there's a long line and the people are getting fidgety and like, I'm in a hurry, I'm in a hurry. I have watched it all go into a state of calmness from doing that. And so that is coming to mind now why it's so important. And I'm so blessed to be on this platform with you, Sarah, and what you're putting out into the world. This means everything to me because if we all could start communicating in this way, this is how we help each other and how we change the world. This is what I believe
Exactly.
because it's not about that we're never going to get triggered, that we're never going to be in stressful situations. This is what it means to move through them. And sometimes I need the person that's going to breathe and hold the space for me because I'm not able to do that moment. Like there's situations that are still going to trigger me. I mean, I'm not even going to say them because I don't want to manifest anything out into the world. But obviously, we all know with family members, with pets, pets are like our family, with our jobs, with things that we are passionate about. I believe that everything comes to an end. We don't like to think about it, but every beginning should come to an end. And sometimes when those things end abruptly because we don't have control of that, we're not the doer. We're not the doer in as far as the flow of life. And when those things happen and I get into a high stress situation, I want to build a community around me that can also help me regulate.
Yeah.
So that is the vision I have and I hold in my heart and what I want to create in Lynchburg, Virginia and in my community.
Exactly. I was going to ask you what's next for you, but it seems like that's it.
Amazing. Thank you.
Maybe expand that community to Costa Rica as well.
Yes. So what's next for me? Everything and anything I'm open to. And the most amazing thing is that I am perfectly comfortable for the first time in my life being in the unknown. I do not even want to know because I know more than anything that I know nothing.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I
no,
know everything at the same time. So all the answers are within me, but also I know nothing. And it's comfortable being there and letting the expression of God. I say God, and sometimes I call him source. Sometimes I say universe. You'll hear me say true Mother Gaia because that is the feminine, the motion that moves. The bride and groom come together for creation. And so, I just want to be in a state of co-creating like we're doing here right now with everyone around me. I did not think that Lynchburg was going to be the place because I am, as of right now, the only breath facilitator in Lynchburg, Virginia. There was someone that was here before me last year, and it did not work out, and she needed to move back home. There is a practice. I'm not going to name it because I'm not sure and I don't want to misname it, but there is a practice that is bringing oxygen to Lynchburg. And I'm in complete support of that, because more oxygen that we can get into the system, it starts to change the physiological makeup of the body.
Yeah.
It starts to calm down the CO2 levels, start to calm down the thoughts that are constantly running as a program within your brain. And when that starts to happen and we start to enter into that parasympathetic, our body knows that it's not in danger and that it's safe. And that's when you can become the captain of your ship and start healing, and the healing properties that you have within you and the gifts that you have within you can start to be released. So I want to bring that to Lynchburg, and I want to build a community that it is safe to feel. And like we were talking about, sometimes those feelings are uncomfortable. But if we can start to breathe and start to have people around us that when it's uncomfortable, we can move through them instead of storing them in our body, we're going to see a different world. We're going to experience it.
So many people are talking about, well, how do we communicate with people who have such very different beliefs than we do? And Lynchburg is a really great example of that. There are people who are very, very entrenched in a very specific kind of Christianity. And like, how do we have those conversations? And maybe the answer is, let's just breathe together.
Love that.
Maybe that's it. Maybe we don't need to talk. Maybe we can just breathe.
I love it. And I would suggest try it. Get with your friend, try it with someone you're comfortable with, and y'all just sit in a room and breathe and watch and feel how it changes everything around you, the energy all around you and within you. Being from a community that is deeply rooted in faith.
Yeah.
The breath is universal.
It is.
It's something that we all have in common.
Exactly.
So, I mean, what better way to bridge a gap that I do feel we experience here? What better way? And especially because Lynchburg is becoming more diverse. People are moving here because it is a beautiful community to live in.
Yeah.
The people here are amazing people. But to bridge that diversity, maybe there is different belief systems. I mean, not maybe, there is different belief systems, and we don't all believe the same way. We don't all walk to the beat of the same drum.
Right.
We walk to the beat of different drums. Breath is universal.
It is.
It's all the same for everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, Robyn, thank you so much. This has been such a beautiful conversation, and I keep getting teary-eyed. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm so thankful, honestly, of what, Sarah, we've co-created here, because I hope that everyone listening will be able to feel this in this podcast. But the room right now is so calm.
It is.
It's so of a high frequency. And high frequency means that the frequency waves are very slow. Everything has slowed down a little bit. It's not speeding up. And I think our conversation has flowed so beautifully and naturally and
elegant. It has been elegant.
Been very elegant and very soft. And that's what we both are bringing and creating in this container. So thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you, Robyn.
Oh.
And thank you all. Thank you for tuning in to Goddess in Training. I hope something in this episode stirred your knowing or softened your heart. If it spoke to you, share it with someone who needs it, or leave a review or comment to help others find us. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to hear more conversations like this, please consider supporting Goddess in Training on Patreon. For more tools and offerings to deepen your intuition practice, visit goddessintraining.online. You can also join the Scroll of Seshat on Substack for twice-weekly stories of how I followed my intuition. The music for Goddess in Training is Madre Ayahuasca by Arkawa, and you can find more of his music in the link to his website in the show notes. Remember, your intuition is not a mystery, it's a memory. Keep listening.
Resplandor del fuego, estrellita, tabaco santo, fuerza de rapé, soplo de luz, soplo encantado, viajecito, bendición del cielo.